Just a couple of announcements. Prashadam is hidden under shawl. To do those two things, the monkeys will not trouble us and all your belongings. And then we will proceed later. Thank you.
And the Mahant will come out and move us anyway in a minute and say, please leave room for the circumambulation. Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hari Jashodanandana Vraja Jandaranjana Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Hari Jamunatirna Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Go Premanande Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privrajikacharya Shtottara Shishima, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privrajikacharya Shtottara Shishima Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Zikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Tasya Grajam Urupani Kirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami begins his conversation with Parikshit Maharaj, describing how people have many things to talk about in the material world. And they're kinds of speech. One kind of speech ties us more to the material world. That is increasingly, although necessary for navigating the world. And then there's a different kind of conversation and speech altogether, which is what Krishna describes, or I should say Narada describes in the Bhagavatam when he says Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Prati Shlokam Abadyavat Yapi Namanyarantasya Yashon Kitani Yat Shrinvanti Gayanti Grijanti Sarava. Having class outside requires something that the sages of Naimisharanya may have not had to contend with, but it requires extra concentration because it's at a popular place. More and more people will come. There's monkeys. There's kids down there playing, screaming, and so you really have to focus. This verse from Narada there's a different kind of topic altogether. Topics about Krishna, and they're filled with transcendental potencies. Just by hearing those, a person can transfer him or herself from the material world to the spiritual world. And for the sake of saving those who are in the material world and giving them a direct connection and easy passage to the spiritual world, the great souls who have become accustomed to that channel of sound vibration from the spiritual world extend those vibrations to everybody in the material world. This is called the Sri Guru Parampara. That's why in the morning time we sing the song written by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, honoring the Guru, our Gurus, and that channel through which we're receiving the sound vibration from the spiritual world. You'll find in the 87th chapter of the Bhagavatam a discussion about how this takes place. Parikshit Maharaj wants to know from Shukadev Goswami how it is that spiritual sound can even exist within a material atmosphere, because we're using matter to transport spiritual sound. The ear is an eardrum. Literally, there's a little guy in there playing a drum. Whenever he hears something, he tries to tap it out so you can understand it. It's like Morse code or something. And the sound is air passing into the ear and stimulating the eardrum. So he wants to know, how is it that you can hear sound from the spiritual world? And the answer from Shukadev Goswami, which he first says he said this is a frequently asked question, that this has been asked before by 4 Kumaras previously. They asked Narayana Rishi, and it's been discussed over millennia. How does this happen? And he says that it's because everything originates from a conscious source. Janmadyasayataha. And this is a difference between the Bhagavat philosophy and modern scientific theory. Modern scientific theory is based on the controlled experiment. And that means trying to test matter in various circumstances, double-blind studies, to find out how it acts. However, because consciousness is a completely or a categorically different energy, as Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhumir apo analovayu kamano buddhir evacha ahankara ityame bina prakriti rashada. There's, on one hand, these material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are gross and subtle material elements. Then he says, aparayamitas tvanyam prakritim vidime param. Jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedan darite jagat. Besides these, there is a superior energy. How superior is it? A lot. It's not even close. We may think think of our intelligence. We may notice our intelligence. We can do that because we're conscious beings. And we can see how amazing it is. There's a way in which we have Blinkit. Do you use Blinkit? It's amazing, isn't it? But we have another service. It's called Thinkit. Because all you have to do is just think of something and it's right there in your head. It's faster than Blinkit, actually. And how does it work? It's because the intelligence is so fast that it immediately delivers to you. And to give us an indication of the way Krishna works, Prabhupada says that energy of the intelligence that is called the form direction of the supersoul. We can understand how Krishna is giving us information, and it's coming through our intelligence as an instrument, delivering us directions and ways to figure out complicated ideas. Incidentally, the intelligence of the human being is so developed that it can contemplate causality. These monkeys, I haven't seen any reading books lately. They mostly mess around all day. And if you ask them to read a book, they'll chew on it. And if you give them a nice little outfit, make an outfit for a monkey down the Loi Bazaar, when you come back later, you'll find it all ripped up hanging from a tree. Because they don't have a refined intelligence, but human beings do. And human beings can contemplate the qualities of energies. They can also says the Vedanta Sutra, Tato Brahma Jignasa, they can ask about what is Brahman? What is the origin of everything? Where do I come from? And the answer in the Vedanta Sutra and subsequently in the natural commentary by Srila Vyasadeva on the Vedanta Sutra, the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can understand that our original source is conscious. Abhigna, fully conscious, and Surat, fully independent. That's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, Shukadeva Goswami says, because he's fully conscious, fully independent, and he's completely aware of us and our intentions, he understands. When we intend to speak something about him or hear something about him, then he especially tunes our intelligence so that we can understand. As why Krishna says, and Prabhupada often repeats, one of the most repeated verses in Prabhupada's purport, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sanivishto matak smitir jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna's there changing, as an electrician does, the electricity into cooling energy or heating energy. If you have a Fujitsu, does anybody have a Fujitsu? It's one of the most genius creations ever made by man or humankind. That is, it's a contraption that you put electricity through, and then from the touch of a button, you can change it from heat to cooling. Have you seen this? So Krishna is the controller of all energies. They all come from him. They're all within him and at his disposal at every moment. And when he detects the sincerity of a person to hear about him or to speak about him, then he transforms that sound vibration into spiritual sounds so that it can be understood. That's why Sanatana Goswami includes a verse, Vaishnavam mukun girnam putam harikatamritam savanam naivakartavyam sarpochista payayata. That sarpo means a snake. If you have a little milk you left out back in your hotel room, a little saucer of milk, did you leave out? Yes? And a snake comes in and he samples a little while you're gone. And then you come home and you say, let me have some hot milk, and you drink that. And you think, why am I breaking out in hives and why are my eyes bulging from my head? It's because you drank little snake venom. And so he says, Vaishnavam mukun girnam putam harikatamritam. Don't hear from people who are not devotees of God. If they're insincere or if they have some other motive while they're speaking, the vibration is changed, just like in a Fujitsu machine, it changes. So one must hear from Vaishnavas, one must hear from pure devotees. And on the other side of the spectrum, we hear from Prithu Maharaj, who says, when a person whose heart is completely pure and in love with Krishna speaks about Krishna, then that sound vibration touches Krishna's lotus feet. And on Krishna's lotus feet, we may or may not be aware, there are saffron particles, because pujaris who love Krishna very much, they go to, as an example, Loi Bazaar, you get a little stone, flat stone, and you can get a little chunk of sandalwood, and then you get some camphor, edible camphor, a little saffron, and some rose water. If you put that combination on the block and then you grind it, it becomes a paste. And then you take that with the tulsi leaf, you can take some of that substance and you can adhere it to Krishna's lotus feet. And then you can sit there and think, life is good. Because here I am, here's Krishna, I don't need anything else. His 2 lotus feet, I have a tulsi leaf, I have some chandan, and I put it on his lotus feet. Now that chandan's always there. And when pure devotees speak, says Prithu Maharaj, there's the sound of their voices in love with Krishna touches Krishna's lotus feet. It dislodges some of the saffron particles that are there, and then the sound is mixed with that. So when you hear this vibration from the voice of a pure devotee, you'll feel suddenly in love with Krishna also. You think, or you might think, what have I been doing all my life? Why have I wasted my time, not just this life, but millions of lives? What am I even doing here in the material world in the first place? Mightn't one think that? Say yes. We were in Govardhan, at Govardhan Hill, and we set up a little encampment there in a room to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And every day we were doing our very best to hear Bhagavatam. And we were reading from the 4th canto. And there was a brahmachari there who had been struggling a little bit in spiritual practice. And after hearing the Bhagavatam for about a week, 5 hours a day, I saw him on a break, leaning against one of the pillars of the building, and he was talking to another devotee, and he said, "What was I thinking?" Meaning he changed his idea about what was the purpose of life, and he suddenly was reinvigorated to serve Krishna. So the sound vibration we hear is the most consequential of all the stimuli that we experience throughout the day. Therefore, we're informed in the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam that we should direct our attention to hearing the transcendental vibration from the spiritual world. Now, so conveniently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has built a channel from the spiritual world through his disciplic succession, and he's given us one mantra that in which are subsumed all other spiritual mantras. The whole spiritual world's within the mantra. Krishna's flute is within the mantra. And I'm thinking of it right now. And if you can do a Vulcan mind meld and figure out what I'm thinking, then you can say which mantra I'm thinking. How did you know? Up a time. Most people mistreat themselves throughout their lives. Just like a bad master works a donkey really hard, poor donkeys. They put loads on their back, and they're not very nice to them. They don't regard them well. They don't give them a nice nickname. They don't pet them or brush them. They just make them work hard. And we do that to ourselves. We just work ourselves and think, keep working. Maybe someday 401k will be plump enough. I won't have to listen to anybody else. But we should be nice to ourselves. In the Nityanandashtakam, Vrindavan, who wrote the Vrindavanas Thakur, gives a line which always causes everyone to stop and think. He says, Lord Nityananda is merciful even to those who aren't merciful to their own selves. And everyone stops and thinks, why aren't I merciful to my own self? Well, that's another discussion. And we won't go into that now. Maybe we'll bring Vishnu Gada back because he's a PhD in psychology. And too bad he's not here because I'm really missing him. But we know how to treat ourselves with the greatest care. And that's to perform japa. It's a time during which we can treat ourselves to a direct contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, it's very difficult to do because we're so used to thinking of millions of other subject matters during the day. The mind processes so fast that whatever we see has a relationship to something else, to something else, to something else, and it never stops. And we don't get any relief from that. We're constantly tortured. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the first sign of self-realization, prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. He said the first thing is you become aware of the fact that the mind is running and running and running and running and running. And prajahati means you feel the luxury of not having to chase it. Let the mind run. There it is, it's going, but I don't have to be part of it. I'm not signing on to all that it says. I can step back. Prajahati, like pratyahara, one of the first stages in Ashtanga Yoga. I'm withdrawing from the world. So Krishna's answering Arjuna about what's the symptom of self-realization. He says, Prajahati yada kaman. Okay, the mind's running on, and now I realize I don't have to subscribe to what it's selling me. Don't believe everything your mind tells you. And so, when we're able to treat ourselves kindly, with mercy, we sit ourselves down and we say, please, let's just stay here for some time and chant the Maha Mantra and listen to this vibration given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We sang yesterday when we were at Madan Mohan's temple. It's Tomare Loite Ami Hoinu Avatar. Tomara Ami Bina Banduara Keache Tumara. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur writing in the voice of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saying, I've descended to save you. Is it? Without me, who else is your friend besides me? So to be friendly to ourselves, we should not think of japa cynically. We should realize that it's a medicinal dose that we have to take. Rupa Goswami says this in the Upadeshamrita, Syat Krishna Nama Charitari Si Tapta Vidya Pitopa Tapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintwavarad Anudilam Kalusaiva Jushta Swadvikramad Bhavati Tad Garamula Hantri. You should consider yourself a patient. And there's a name for it in Ayurveda. What do they call? Who's the Ayurvedic doctor here? What do they call it? A rogi. A rogi means somebody who's, Oh yeah, you're sitting right here. You know all about Ayurveda. They're sick, but there's a term that goes with it that they're supposed to submit themselves to the medicine. Anyway, it was called a patient. That's a good word too, because you have to be patient. Maybe that's why they call them patients. Where's our research department? Who can look up the history of the word? And so he says, consider that you have a disease. What's the disease? It's ignorance. And I used to tell people that on book distribution. I think I'm going to go back to it now that I mention it. He said, what's the donation for? We're fighting one of the worst diseases in the world. And people start leaning in. What are you doing? It's called avidya. Oh, yeah, ignorance. And people have it all over the world. They go, oh, yeah, that's true. And so what we're doing is we're fighting the worst disease that affects everybody around the world. Ignorance means ignorance. Ignorance of the truth hurts. If you ignore any living being, you'll find immediate darkness. So if you even pass somebody on the road, you have to make a decision. Are we going to make eye contact or not? Isn't that an arduous decision to make? Because if I look at them as I walk by, what do they think? Maybe I'm an axe murderer and I'm just trying to figure out which direction they're going, or maybe there'll be some obligation. Consciousness is consequential. It means everywhere we look, there's a conscious being, there's a consequence to our interaction with it or our non-interaction with it. And so everybody's trying to come up with a way to live in the world and just touch things, but don't admit where it came from and don't acknowledge any universal consciousness. And this creates, well, to use a euphemism, a very awkward situation. I once said in a class in Los Angeles that the material world's extremely inconvenient. And my godbrother Sarvabhauma came up to me afterwards laughing. He said that was the understatement of not even a century, millennia. It's much more than inconvenient. It's downright crushing, says Prahlad Maharaj. Nispijamanam upakashyap vibho prapanam. He says, this ignorance is crushing everybody. It's a wheel. We're just being ground up in it all. And so, Rupa Goswami invites us to be rogis. Be a good rogi. good rogi. Be a rogi, admit that you're sick, and you take your medicine. And take it on time. If they say you take 4 drops 3 times a day, you take 4 drops 3 times a day. You take the medicine. And then there's people, they don't take their medicine. How are you doing? Not very good. I have a friend, every time he gets a little sniffle, he goes down to the pharmacy. Here in India, they'll give you anything. He tells them, I want antibiotics. I say, antibiotics are for bacteria. It's not for viruses. You have a little, rhinovirus or something. It's like you don't need... And then he'll take the antibiotics, and 2 days later he goes, it's not working. And he said, I'm going back, get something stronger. Don't self-medicate, and follow the prescription when you get it, Rupa Goswami says. And so for jaundice, he gives this example. The rogi has to take every day a little cup, no, this isn't such a bad thing, of sugarcane juice. You take the sugarcane, they grind it, they crush it. You can watch it come through. They filter it out a little bit. You put a little ginger, a little lime. It's not going to ruin the effect. A little lime, little ginger, and you drink that every day. And after a while, the bad taste of the drink, which is because of one's tongue being covered with bile. Bile is extremely bitter, and when you have jaundice, it increases the bile in your system, so much so that when you taste something, it tastes terrible. So Rupa Goswami says, that's what ignorance does. But Rupa Goswami says, when I hear that, I need 1 million ears. I need 10 million ears to hear it more deeply, to drink the sweetness in. But I can't taste it. So he says you have to keep taking the medicine, and gradually that sweetness will become apparent as your condition improves. So this is the kindest thing we can do for ourselves, is be the adult in the room. Use our intelligence. The intelligence has to be the adult in the room. If it becomes complicit with all the other whimsy of the mind and the senses, let's do whatever we want to do, whenever we want to do it, then we're in serious trouble. So we line ourselves up with a doctor. You get a spiritual master who says, okay, make a vow, you're going to take your medicine. And you also follow the Shastra, you educate yourself. Like people aren't educated. They take all kinds of things for the wrong reasons. So find out what's the right medicine to take and then take it. N-H-E Ashaudi Maya Nashi Barulagi. Bhaktivinoda goes on to say, this is aushadhi. It's medicine. It's going to cure you. So don't neglect it. Take it. And if you don't take it, don't be one of those people walking around complaining that I'm still sick. Did you take your medicine? No, I didn't take my medicine. Could you maybe do that? You think that might be a good idea, to take your medicine on time? People all the time, he's off his meds. It's like, uh-oh. When we get off our meds, our chanting every day, we become irrational, right? We become harmful to ourselves, we become harmful disturbance to other people. So we should at least take our medicine on a daily basis. And japa requires some work. And there's some benign discomfort when we try to chant japa, because the mind basically says, I don't wanna. The word discipline comes from Latin. It means learner. All happiness in life comes from some kind of discipline. And if we get the right discipline, which is chanting Hare Krishna, chanting japa properly, and finishing it, at least finish the vow, then you have spiritual self-esteem. Whatever anybody says to you, stub your toe, you want to curse the universe, smash your bed because it has protrusions, whatever it may be, you won't want to do that because you said, whatever you want to do to me, bed, I don't care because I finished my 16 rounds. Whatever anybody says about me on the internet, I don't care because I finished my 16 rounds. Lord Chaitanya is so kind, he gave us the medicine, we should take it. Here at Brahmanda Ghat, we're treated to the sweetness of Vrindavan, because this place is as sweet as it gets. You got a tree to sit underneath. You got the Jamuna River right there. That's the real Jamuna right there. The breeze that's coming in, that's Jamuna breeze. You got a few monkeys, because Krishna played with the monkeys. He liked the monkeys. And what's not here? What's not here? What's not to like? We don't even have to do anything or say, we just sit here and feel enveloped by the mood of Vrindavan. It's so nice. Prabhupada came here 1971 with a group of devotees. There's photographic evidence. You can see they were down here along the, right next to the bank of the Jamuna. Prabhupada was with one of his godbrothers, which was always a treat because all we knew was Prabhupada, that, you know, he's our master, and for us, he was the only one to ever see. But sometimes Prabhupada had association with some of his godbrothers, and we'd see it, and we think, oh, Prabhupada has godbrothers. That's interesting. We didn't know that. Hey. Okay, you got a banana. Be happy with that. Hope they don't like iPads. Obio Pakor, his name was Adi Keshav. He was a great scholar, one of Prabhupada's godbrothers. He came here with Prabhupada, so Prabhupada and his godbrother was sitting there, and Prabhupada's young disciples were then going into the Jamuna, and Prabhupada said, it's too cold for an old person. But then when he saw all the devotees enjoying in the water of the Jamuna, he started taking off his kurta, and he went in also and bathed with the devotees. He'd hold his nose and go at her 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And can hold your ears too. 1, 2, 3. A little slower. And feel embraced by Jamuna Devi. So also this is famous pastime place. I'm going to read a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam just to bring us to this place. So it's a circuitous route. This is at Bhagavatam 10.8, and the verses are 8 and 9. It says, Kamsa papa mati sakyam tava charna gadundube devakya ashtamo garbo nastri bhavitum arhati iti sanchintayan shutva devakya darika vacha apihanta gatashankas taritan nonayo bhavet. And here's the translation. For context, Nanda Maharaj had a son. Does anybody know what his name was? Huh? You don't know? Okay, Krishna. His name was Krishna. Nandana. So, there was a little problem in Vrindavan, and that was Kamsa. He had a despotic government, and he had consolidated power. He had suspended all of the normal ways of running the government and had taken over everything. And people came who were against him, and then they ended up being his followers. It was a serious situation. He had so much power. And his impetus was to maintain control. And one of his greatest fears in life was that he would be killed by Krishna, because he found out that in his past life he had been killed by Vishnu. And he thought, not again, not in this life. I'm going to protect myself one way or another, and one of the ways I'm going to protect myself is to kill Krishna before he kills me. So he went on a terror campaign in Vrindavan. It's amazing in such a peaceful place that the terror campaign was going on. And that's when we hear about the various kinds of demons. These are real. They were recruited by Kamsa, wizard type people who had mystic powers, who came to specifically kill Krishna in the Vraj. And as we know, Krishna killed them one after another. So there, after Krishna was born, there was this sense of fear in Vrindavan. And after the child is born, you have to have a name-giving ceremony. And generally it's a Vedic ceremony, which has a lot of parts. Like last night, we went to a wedding that I thought would never end, because Raghu knows every mantra in the universe and he uses it. I thought, okay, that's it. No, one more ceremony, one more. And then somebody afterwards said, that's one of the shortest weddings I've ever been to. Prabhupada's were about 5-10 minutes. Exchange garlands. You're married. Okay, that's it. Swaha. So there's normally an elaborate ceremony for the name giving. And everyone comes because it's such a joyous time. Son is born. So Nanda had actually invited Garga Muni, Mahat Vichalaram Nrinam Dehinam Dina Chastitam. It says in the Srimad Bhagavatam in this section that Vichalam, he had come a long way. Garga Muni had come a long way. Grihinam, to the house of Nanda. And he said, sages like him come to grihastas' homes, it says in the verse, just to give mercy. They don't have to go anywhere. They're self-sufficient. Garga Muni was highly learned, respected sage. So he came to the house of Nanda. And they discussed the name-giving ceremony. So this verse is their consideration of how to do the name-giving ceremony. Does that build enough context for you?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Kamsa is both a great diplomat and a very sinful man. Therefore, having heard from Yogamaya, the daughter of Devaki, that the child who will kill him has already been born somewhere else, having heard that the 8th pregnancy of Devaki could not bring forth a female child, and having understood your friendship with Vasudeva, Kamsa, upon hearing that the purificatory process has been performed by me, the priest of the Yadu dynasty may certainly consider all these points and suspect that Krishna is the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Then he might take steps to kill Krishna. That would be a catastrophe. So Kamsa is a great diplomat and sinful man. And Yogamaya is what Vasudeva brought Yogamaya back from Nanda's house, because he brought the baby Krishna from Mathura, and when he got there were 2 children. There was Yogamaya, and then there was the baby Krishna. And the Krishna who was born in the prison in Mathura was Vasudeva Krishna. It's an expansion of Krishna. Krishna is one, but he expands himself unlimited. How about Departure eva hita shantanam abhyupetya? Yes tadrageva hicha vishnu chaya vipati. One light, but it lights others, other candles, other lamps. There's an origin, and the fire is the same, but it expands in many different forms. So Krishna expands himself into unlimited forms. One of those forms was Vasudeva, who's born to Vasudeva and Devaki. And you remember his birth was with helmet, forearms, all the emblems of Lord Narayan, right? Yeah. Isn't it interesting that Devaki prayed and said, I'm afraid that Kamsa will come and try to kill you when there's Narayan. And it's also a conundrum why she asked him to become a child. So even because Kamsa was looking for a child. But it just goes to show, in such circumstances, the devotees are afraid for Krishna. And very interestingly, in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada gives commentary from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur about how important it is that the devotees, including Yashoda and Devaki, were afraid that Kamsa would come to kill Krishna. And he says that we should also be afraid of losing our Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada once said it. He said, problem with my disciples, they're not afraid enough of Maya. And if one remains afraid of Maya and is very careful, Prabhupada said, this is a regulative principle. You should not only follow four regulative principles, you should also be afraid of Vishnu's Maya and not be nonchalant. You know how you become nonchalant? Do you even know what nonchalant means? Prove it. Tell me where it comes from. What's the etymology of nonchalant? You could look it up if you don't mind losing your phone to a monkey. We become careless. We may feel that I've got this when we feel entitled. We feel I've been around for a while, at least 3 weeks. Therefore, why should I be afraid of Maya? Or I'm the temple commander. Who's better than me? Whatever one may think, if we feel entitled, then we may be lax in our practice, and Maya can sneak in and pull us away. So he says we should be careful, and we should also be afraid. Prahlad Maharaj said it in his prayers. Everyone else was afraid of Nrsingadev. Remember this? Even Lakshmiji. She thought, who's this form? Is he really my husband? Never seen him like this. And Prahlad was pushed forward. Prabhupada says it's like pushing a 5-year-old boy into the cage of a lion. Because they all prayed, all the demigods prayed, and Lord Nrsingadev was still angry. So they said, Prahlad, he came for you, you try. So when he was praying to Lord Nrsingadev, he says, Trastosmyaham kripana vatsala dusahogra samsara chakra kadanad grasatam pranita bhadhasa karma birishatami tengri mulam pritopa varga shayanam chayase katanu. He said, everybody else is afraid of you. But I'm not afraid of you, my Lord. I'm afraid of your Vishnu Maya. Because I know that although you're here, at any time I can become lax. And Maya is so strong, can pull me back down into the gears, and I can be caught up again. And who knows how long it will take to come back. So this fear that's there in Yashoda and Devaki, and specifically we're talking about how the Lord has appeared and Devaki's afraid. We should keep that, says Vishwanath Chakravarti. We should have a little fear. Oh, am I being too lax? Of course, we shouldn't become fanatical and become a pain to all our associates by being overly strict in ways that disturbs the minds of everybody else. Better to be strict with oneself and not give free advice here, there, and everywhere. Prabhupada mentions that in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita in the austerities of speech. He says,
indifferent, unconcerned, careless,
old,
cool.
And cool. And where does the word come from?
French.
From French?
1734, from French, nonchalant. Careless, indifferent,
careless, indifferent.
Participle. of nonchalor. Be indifferent to, have no concern for. 13c dot. From non to not. C plus non. Plus chalor. Have concern for, ultimately from Latin calier. Be hot. From pi root cali. Frenchalant customer. Client is of the same origin related. Nonchalanti.
You're hired. We have funding now for our department. We're going to give you prasadam every day. So there's fear in the air. And yes?
And for patient, there are two definitions.
Patient, go ahead.
Suffering, injured, or sick person under medical treatment, late 14c, from Old French patient, and from the adjective, from Latin patemium, suffering. See patients. In Middle English, also of anyone who suffered patiently, and there's a second definition. Patient, this one is an adjective. Mid 14c, patiente, capable of enduring misfortune, suffering, etc. without complaint. From Old French patient.
Suffering without complaint. Okay, can we take that one away? Is that a one we can take away? Everyone agrees, say yes. Yes. Okay, we're bound to that now. Okay, go ahead.
From Old French patient, directly from Latin patientem, bearing, supporting, suffering, enduring, permitting. See patience. From late 14c, as slow to anger, self-restrained, having the temper which endures trials and provocation. From late 15c, as awaiting or expecting the outcome calmly without discontent. The meaning, pertaining to a medical patient, is late 14c, from the noun, related patiently.
There's so much in every word, isn't it? It's helpful to go back and look and see what we're talking about, because we can be glib and think, oh, I know what that means, but when we look deeply within it, we find roots to Krishna consciousness that we can utilize. And regarding fear, I've been noticing all of us together here, we're constantly looking to see when will they attack. And we should be like that with Maya too. And not just carefree, move through the world. Again, not becoming neurotic or a pain to others or ourselves. But we should be on the lookout, kind of like this. Which way is Maya going to come? And be careful. So, this is the scene in Vrindavan. And I'll read Prabhupada's purport. What time do you finish? Everyone okay? Yes. We're happy, right? Yes. Nowhere else to go. Kamsa knew very well that Yogamaya was, after all, the maidservant of Krishna and Vishnu, and that although Yogamaya had appeared as the daughter of Devaki, she might have been forbidden to disclose this fact. Actually, this was what had happened. Gargamuni argued very soberly that his taking part in performing the reformatory process for Krishna would give rise to many doubts, so that Kamsa might take very severe steps to kill the child. Kamsa had already sent many demons to attempt to kill this child, but none of them had survived. If Gargamuni were to perform the purificatory process, Kamsa's suspicions would be fully confirmed, and he would take very severe steps. Gargamuni gave this warning to Nanda Maharaj. So, they held the name-giving ceremony in a cowshed, and it was done without anybody else knowing about it. And while in the cowshed, Gargamuni tells Nanda Maharaj, personality of Godhead. And there's a iconic verse, a famous verse, it's in the Prabhupada Shloka book. that he says, Asan varnas trayo yasya grinato nu yugantanum shukol raktas tata pita idanam krishnatam gata. He says, this child has come before in different colors. Asan varnas trayo yasya grinato nu yugantanu. And grinato means that he comes by his own sweet will. He's not forced by the modes of material nature to come to the world. So we're talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Grinato nu yugantanu. Different what it means. Raktas, tata, pita. Pita. Shuklo raktas tata pita. Idanim krishnatam gata. Krishnatam. Black. So what about yellow? Krishna varnam tusha krishnam. Sangha pangasha parshadam. See, we know each other. You can finish each other's sentences. Go. Krishna varnam tusha krishnam. Jagnaya sankirtana prayer. This was also in the Bhagavatam. Who spoke it? Karbhajana Muni. And he says that in this age, Krishna will come and he's Akrishnam. What does that mean? He's Lord Chaitanya. He's not blackish. He's Krishna, but he's not black. He's golden in color. And so he comes as golden color. He comes in all these different forms, transcendental forms. And now he's come as Krishna in a blackish form. And so he describes to him this nature. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's Narayan. And what does Krishna's appearance look like? Well, it looks like he's a little baby. And as a little baby, and does he have a brother, a baby brother? Yes or yes? Who's his baby brother? You sure? What are his other names? Rama, Sankarshana, and Bala. Bala means, and this is Garga Muni says, he'll be very strong. Bala means strength. And Sankarshan, why does he call him that? Because he was attracted from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. You got to move up so they can circumambulate. And Rama means he'll bring the greatest pleasure. And your son's name, Krishna. So Rama and Krishna played here. And he gave the greatest joy to his devotees, to their mothers, Rohini and Yashoda. And some of the ways that they played were, they would grab onto the tail of a calf as little children, and then the calf would give them a ride through the mud. And so you can imagine their transcendental bodies. Krishna's blackish, Balaram is what color? Okay. This is your Bhakti Shastri. If you get 30%, Prabhupada said, then you can, actually it was Bhakti Shastri, or maybe it was Bhakti Vedanta. He gave 10 questions. If you got 3 out of 10, you passed. So you can imagine the little transcendental children, and they're being pulled by little calves, pulling them around through the mud, and there's pigment in the soil, so they'd be colored by different pigments. And then they also played with the monkeys. And they'd go to people's houses, and they knew it was in the pots, so they'd figure out a way to get up there by piling one table on top of another, and Krishna would poke a hole in the pots and let everything run out. And sometimes he would steal the butter, and then he'd divide it up. He'd take some for himself, sometimes some for Balaram, and the rest of the third for the monkeys. And the neighborhood people would come and complain to Yashoda and say, your child, he's coming and terrorizing us. But they have a little smile on their face because they actually liked it. They were so charmed by Krishna and Balaram. playing the way they did, being so rambunctious that they were unable to restrain him. So here at Brahmanda Ghat, the reason it's called Brahmanda Ghat is because Krishna revealed the whole world within his mouth. And how did he do that? Well, during their play, the children formed a court. And they said, we saw Krishna eat dirt. They came to Yashoda and they said, Krishna ate dirt. We saw him. She said, is this true? And Baladev attested to the fact. He was the first witness. The expert was, that's where expert witnesses come from. He said, yes, he ate dirt. It's confirmed. So she called Krishna into the court and she said, your friend said you ate dirt, and even Balaram said you ate dirt. Krishna said, they're all lying. Nitya Basha. It's all lying talk. And if you don't believe me, and why wouldn't you believe me? You're my mother. You just look in my mouth. So Yashoda picked up Krishna right here and put him on her lap and asked him to open his mouth for a forensic investigation. And when she looked into his mouth, she saw herself with Krishna sitting on her lap, millions of times expanded, and then she saw Mercury, Saturn, the sun, the moon, the time element, all living creatures coming and going in the cosmos. And she became momentarily bewildered by Krishna's unlimited energies. So he said, okay, please close your mouth. And then she thought for a moment, I'm under the potency, by which Krishna, just don't eat dirt anymore. And he went off to play again. So this is a celebrated pastime with Mother Yashoda and Krishna here in this place. And we sing about Krishna's pastimes during the Kartik season. As Sanatana Goswami points out in the Bhagavatamrita, Lord Narayan doesn't have any childhood pastimes. You know that? Krishna has childhood pastimes. And the devotees relish those, thinking about how Krishna played with his parents, how he ate dirt and then said, my friends are lying. He's the Supreme Personality of God, and he gets called out by his mother for eating dirt, and then he says, they lied. So the devotees become entranced in remembering Krishna's pastimes here as the one who ate dirt. And you may notice some of the vendors here have little lumps of dirt you can take with you. I think they're neatly packaged. Don't eat it, but you can remember how Krishna ate dirt. And now we're going to sing a little bit. Okay? What are we going to sing? What are we going to sing? Huh? Yeah. You know who else ate dirt? Yeah. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat. It's not in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Maybe it's in the purport also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mother Sachi gave Lord Chaitanya, as a child, Nimai, some sweets. What kind of sweets did she give? Well, specifically. Sandesh. Is everybody hungry? Sandesh. Rabri. Misti doi. Gulab jamun. And when she came back, sweets were all still sitting there, and he was eating dirt. And Sachi chastised him and said, I gave you perfectly good sweets. These are the best of all Bengali sweets. And you're eating dirt. I made these for you. And he said, what's the difference? Dirt, sweets, they all come from the same source. There's no difference. And she said, who taught you this? And she said, if you eat dirt, you'll become sick. But if you eat these sweets, you'll be happy. And so she defeat. When the devotees first came to India, the Western devotees, and they were going around doing life membership, some devotees went into a business where this man was talking Mayavad philosophy. And through this incident, if I say cotton ball, then finally he grabbed him by the shirt. He said, if I say cotton ball, cotton ball or cotton shirt, is it the same? No, it's okay. So Nimai did it also. He also ate dirt, but he did it to teach us the difference between practical Vaishnava philosophy, which is that everything comes from Krishna, but it all has its purpose in his service. What are we singing? Okay. We're going to sing a folk song from Vrindavan, because we're in a pastime place, and I admit this is not written by one of our main acharyas. However, I checked with some senior godbrothers. They said, in certain circumstances, and this may be one of them, when you're sitting in Vrindavan, for instance, in a beautiful pastime place, and you want to remember the mood, the joyful mood of Krishna playing as a child, and all the other pastimes he performs, you might want to sing this song. Page 147. And if you don't like to have fun and enjoy chanting, hey, bana ko mere barambar maiya hai, nanda jiva paya hai. ऐसे श्री गोपाल को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है। मेरे राधा जी ऐसे श्री ज्ञान श्याम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है। ज्ञान श्याम को मेरे ग्वाला बल संग धेनु चरायो। ऐसे लीला धाम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है। बारंबार प्रणाम है। कृपा सुत को लज्ज बचायो छुड़ायो। ऐसे कृपा दाम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है। दाम को मेरे कुरु पांडव को युद्ध मचायो। अर्जुन को उपदेश सुनायो। ऐसे दीननाथ को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है। Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda, Gopala Hare. Hey, Radha Govinda, Gopala Hare. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala, Radha Ramana, Radha Mohan, Radha Madhava, Radha Bank Bihari, Radha Damodara, Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Govinda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gopinatha, Radha Giridhari, Radha Parthasarthi, Gandharvika Giridhari, Radha Chirgopinatha, Radha Nila Madhava, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Radha Rasbihari, Radha Landanishvara, Radha Perishishvara, Radha Radhanatha, Radha Kunja Bihari, Radha Gopi Ballabha, Kishore Kishori, Radha Kalachanji. Hey, Radha Govinda, Gopala Hare. Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda, Gopala Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda, Gopala Hare. Hey, Radha Govinda, Gopala Hare. Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda, Gopala Hare. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala, Radha Bank Bihari, Balaba, Kishore Kishori, Radha Madhava,
Radha Nila Madhava,
Radha Nila Madhava,
Radha Rukmini Dwarkadisha,
Come on now, people.
Radha Kirchor Gopinath,
Radha Chittor Gopinath,
Radha Patasarati,
Radha Patasarati,
Radha Govinda,
oh, Radha Govinda,
Radha Madhava,
Radha Madhava,
Radhe Banki Bihari,
Radha Bunky Bihari,
Radha
Radha
Gokulananda,
Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda,
Radha Lankarishvara,
Radha Lanishwara,
Radha Shama Sundar,
Radha Shama Sundar,
Radha Landaneshwar,
Radha Landanishwar,
Radha Radha Kanta,
Radha Sankanta,
Radha Kuj Bihari,
Radha Kunji Bihari,
Radha Kala Chandri,
Radha Kala Chanji,
Radha Shama Sundar,
Radha Shama Sundar,
Radha Damodar,
Radha Damodara,
Radha Radhana,
Radha Radhanata,
Radha Giridhari,
Radha Giridhari. Hey, hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Bajare, hey, hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. I say Shri Bhagavata ko mere barambar pranam. Hey, Shri Bhagavata ko mere. I say Shri Gyana Shyama ko mere barambar pranam. Hey, God Premanande, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. We just have 5 minutes left. According to my clock, and the mic has to work.
You were talking about when we hear from a pure devotee,
Yes.
we get affected in a positive way. So does that mean that when we hear from a mixed devotee, we also get affected? We get
Well,
contaminated?
Mixed means there's something pure in it, and that's what counts. 26 qualities of a devotee, Rupa Goswami says, the sincerity to follow pure devotees, to become a pure devotee, is the active ingredient that makes all the others happen. So Prabhupada's mood was, if somebody's following a pure devotee and has imbibed the mood, then that person is also a pure devotee. And it's just a question of a ripe mango or an unripe mango, but a mango's a mango. So we want mangoes and not, what's an objectionable fruit?
Healthy fear.
Maharaj was fearless. He says, Trastos meham kripanavits vatsala dushahogra. Energies for the benefits of his devotion. Because I'm following the order of Krishna.
For a beautiful start to this morning, first time at Brahmanda, and we were looking at the yatra next year, and Maharaj said, we can change whatever places, but have your permission very quickly. I'd like to share a short pastime which took place here, Maharaj, while Dinabandhu Prabhu narrated it. When Guru Maharaj was speaking about Srila Prabhupada bathing here, Srila Prabhupada asked few disciples who were with him, he said, what is the difference between bathing in Yamuna and Ganga? So everybody had very nice philosophical answers, and everyone thought Prabhupada is going to say, that's really nice answer. So said, the difference is when you take bath in the Ganga river, all your pious activities get eradicated. And then as he said that, few disciples started to come out of the Yamuna river. It's it in much more beautiful way, but that's a short story to say difference between the Yamuna, because he said Yamuna, so slowly devotees were coming out of the Yamuna. So now what we will be doing, we'll be going to the buses and having the breakfast in the buses, because we could just see so many monkeys around this place. It's not a safe place to have prasadam. So everybody can board the buses, have prasadam. We'll not drive the buses for the 20-25 minutes. Once everybody's had breakfast, we will now then proceed to Raman Reti, and there we will have an ecstatic Harinam and book distribution. Hopefully at least an hour and a half, and depending on the time how we do, we'd like to try and get back for 1 o'clock so we can have Shraddha Mataji. We'd like to have a full 4:30 to 6:30 session, right? This is the plan this evening. Yeah. So yeah, please work with us, because what happens is after midday, traffic builds up in this area. So if we get to Raman Reti by 10, we can have a good 1.5 hour of book distribution and Harinam, and leave by 11:30, so we can be back at 1 o'clock at Anand Krishna One. Anything else, Shraddha Mataji? Chukuja Venu Prabhu, would you like to come and make an announcement? Where are you? Please come. Tell us at Raman Reti what we will be doing, Prabhu. And yeah, sorry, one more thing. Gopal Prabhu reminded me, if devotees have any kartals, so please hand them back in. We need all the possible kartals at Raman Reti temple for Harinam. Okay, the Mahant here is telling us that once you get up, everybody can take 4 rounds of the tree, the parikrama, and then we'll give the donations to them. Don't worry, you can just take the parikrama and both the buses. Thank you.
Hare Krishna devotees. So those who don't have the book bags, and if you like a book bags for the Raman Reti, then we have them at bus number 2. And also we're carrying around 200 Bhagavad Gitas, which will be transporting them from the buses to the Raman Reti inside the compound. So do look after for us. And so we'll be happy to serve you all.
Humble request is distribute at least one book while you're there. Don't miss the opportunity, or take the opportunity to distribute a book here in Vrindavan. If you haven't ever distributed books, you can watch somebody who's distributing. Even me, I'm going to distribute books there, so feel free to watch. It's not difficult. It's very straightforward and fun here. And when you have that opportunity, it will put something in your heart where you'll feel empowered wherever you go to distribute books. That's the effect of distributing books here, especially at Raman Reti. It's a sweet place, everyone's having fun, and they don't mind you coming up. And especially with Harinam going on, they'll go crazy, and they'll take the book. So we would like to distribute all our books. So no book left behind. Everything should be distributed. Hare Krishna.
Also, if anybody needs to use the washroom, just there, I think there is a person outside. You have to give him a small change to use the toilet. How much? 5 rupees. And you can use the washroom and then both the buses. Thank you, everyone. Vancha kalpatarubhesha kripa sindhu bevacha patita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Brahman Ghat ki jai. His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.